The Final Twilight Ragnarok is the culmination of a long and turbulent saga in Norse mythology, a foretold series of apocalyptic events that mark the end of the gods. Alongside him stand Thor, the god of thunder, and Tyr, the one-handed god of war. Each will meet their destined foe. Thor faces Jormungandr, the world serpent. Odin meets Fenrir, the monstrous wolf. Tyr battles Garm, the guardian of hell. Eve, the god of fertility and sunlight, must fight Surt, the fire giant of the collapse of the cosmos and the rebirth of the world. They do not fight for victory, but for honor and duty. They are not immortal in this tale. Their downfall is both tragic and glorious. It is not a singular battle, but a sequence of divine calamities, earthquakes, endless winters, betrayals, and the return of ancient enemies. After the destruction, a new world will rise from the sea. Through this, we aim to understand the profound symbolism, the harsh realism, and the enduring legacy of the end of the Norse gods. Survivors will emerge. The earth will become green again. The sun's daughter will shine. 2 humans will repopulate the world. Some gods, like Balder, will return. This cyclical nature reflects Norse belief. Death is not an end, but a beginning. Loki, once a blood brother to Odin, leads the giants and monsters after breaking free from his chains. Fenrir, his wolf son, grows beyond control, destined to devour the sun and kill Odin. Jormungandr, the great serpent, rises from the ocean, spilling poison and causing floods. Surt, with his flaming sword, brings fire to the world, reducing all to ash. This prophecy, preserved in the poetic, Edda, and the prose, speaks of an inevitable future that neither gods nor mortals can escape. At the heart of this tale are the Aesir, the warrior gods of Asgard, led by Odin the Orphan. These final confrontations are not mere battles, but symbolic ends of balance, justice, and power. The gods know their fate. The opposing forces are just as vivid. This story is not about despair alone. In the chapters that follow, we will explore the characters, their roles, the battles, and the cosmic events leading to Ragnarok. Odin and the Seeds of Doom. Odin, the All-Father, stands at the center of the Norse cosmos. He is not only the king of the gods but also the seeker of knowledge, wisdom, and fate. He sacrifices one eye at Mimir as well in exchange for wisdom. He hangs himself from Yggdrasil, the world tree, pierced by his own spear, to understand the secrets of the runes. He travels across realms, speaks with the dead, and seeks omens in all things. His ravens, Hugin and Munin, fly across the world, bringing him daily reports. All of this is part of a singular purpose: to delay the inevitable and prepare the gods for the final war. His authority spans the realms of men, gods, and the dead. Yet, despite his power, Odin lives in constant awareness of his destiny. He will fall during Ragnarok, devoured by the monstrous wolf Fenrir. This knowledge does not weaken him, it defines him. To prepare for the end, Odin dedicates his existence to gathering knowledge. Odin is not a benevolent father figure. He is distant, calculating, and often ruthless. He makes sacrifices, including of his own kin, if it serves the greater need. He raises mortal heroes in Valhalla, training them for battle. He commands the Valkyries to choose the slain and bring them to his hall. These warriors, the Einherjar, are meant to fight beside him during Ragnarok. Every decision he makes is a move on the board of fate. The seeds of doom are sown early. Odin learns of the prophecy that Loki's children Fenrir, Jormungandr, and Hel will bring ruin. In response, he orders them imprisoned or cast away. Jormungandr is thrown into the ocean. Hel is banished to the underworld. Fenrir, however, grows too quickly and too strong. Though raised by the gods, he becomes a threat. Odin commands the wolf to be bound with magical chains. Only Tyr dares feed him, and only Tyr loses a hand when the trap is set. Odin's efforts to prevent Ragnarok only ensure its arrival. His treatment of Loki's children sows resentment. His obsession with fate causes suffering. Despite all his wisdom, Odin cannot change the path laid before him. He knows he will face Fenrir. He accepts his doom, but not without struggle. This chapter reveals that even the most powerful god cannot escape destiny. Odin's choices, sacrifices, and fears all build toward the final moment when he stands before the jaws of death. Not as a ruler, but as a part of the cycle he long sought to control. Thor and the Serpent of Midgard. Thor, son of Odin and the mightiest of the Aesir, is the embodiment of strength, thunder, and raw power. Born of Loki and the giantess Angerboda Jormungandr, is cast into the sea by Odin, where he grows so vast that he encircles the entire world. This act, meant to contain the threat, only strengthens the serpent. It becomes the symbol of encroaching doom, coiling beneath the oceans, waiting. His hammer Mjolnir, forged by dwarves and enchanted with divine energy, is the ultimate weapon against chaos. Thor is not only a warrior, he is the defender of gods and men. His presence strikes fear into the hearts of giants and monsters, and his fury echoes through the 9 realms like a storm. Thor's destiny is tightly bound to that of Jormungandr, the world's serpent. The enmity between Thor and Jormungandr is well established. In one tale, Thor attempts to fish the serpent from the depths. Disguised as a mortal, he sets out to sea with a giant. Using an ox head as bait, he hooks the serpent and pulls it to the surface. Their eyes meet, thunder clashes with poison, but the line is cut before the battle can finish. It is a moment of tension, a glimpse of what is to come. During Ragnarok, Thor and Jormungandr will meet once more. As the sea rises and the sky cracks, the serpent will crawl from the ocean, spewing venom into the air and water. He represents order, courage, and defiance against darkness. Thor's hammer may end the serpent, but he cannot stop the poison that follows. His death, though inevitable, secures his place in myth as the greatest warrior of the gods, who dies standing, with his enemies slain before him. His fate shows that even the strongest god cannot survive the poisoned world left by unchecked chaos. Thor, with lightning in his wake, will charge into battle. The fight will shake the earth. Thor will finally slay the serpent, crushing its skull with Mjolnir. Yet victory is not without cost. After taking 9 steps, Thor will collapse, poisoned by Jormungandr's venom. Thor's death is more than the fall of a hero. It is the extinguishing of protection. Without him, the walls of Asgard crumble. This clash is not only physical, but symbolic. It marks the end of a long rivalry between nature's wrath and divine strength. Loki and the flames of betrayal. Loki, the trickster of Asgard, is one of the most complex figures in Norse mythology. He is not a god by birth, but a Jotun, a being of chaos and fire. His cunning saves the gods more than once, yet he becomes Odin's blood brother and a companion to the Aesir. He is clever, charismatic, and often helpful. However, his mischief grows darker with time, and his alliances become dangerous. Retrieves Thor's hammer from giants, and deceives those who threaten the gods. He is bound in a cave with the entrails of his son. Above his head, a serpent drips venom onto his face. His wife Sigyn tries to protect him. Loki's transformation from ally to enemy lies at the heart of Ragnarok. In his early years among the gods, Loki is a source of both laughter and trouble. He aids in building Asgard's walls, but he also causes harm. He orchestrates the death of Balder, the beloved son of Odin, by manipulating Hodar, Balder's blind brother, into killing him with mistletoe. Loki breaks the peace of Asgard. After refusing to weep for Balder's return from hell, Loki is hunted and captured. The gods punish him with harsh cruelty, but whenever she empties the bowl, the poison strikes him, causing writhing pain. His agony causes earthquakes. His rage festers for centuries. When Ragnarok begins, Loki breaks free. No longer the sly companion, he becomes the leader of Asgard's enemies. At his side are his children, Fenrir, Jormungandr, and Hel's legions. Loki now embodies chaos, vengeance, and the betrayal of trust. Both fall, sealing their roles in the cosmic cycle. He sails the ship Nagufa, made from the nails of the dead, leading giants, monsters, and the damned. During the final battle, Loki faces Heimdall, the watchman of the gods. The two are destined to kill each other. It is a symbolic clash, the betrayer against the guardian, the destroyer of order against the keeper of balance. Loki's story is not one of simple evil. Ragnarok gives him the stage to unleash all that was denied, feared, and cast away. He is a figure shaped by exclusion, punishment, and prophecy. His descent into hatred mirrors the god's failure to contain his dual nature. His betrayal is not without cause. It is rooted in the very foundations of Asgard's order. Fenrir, the wolf who ate the sky. Fenrir, the monstrous wolf, is one of the most feared beings in Norse mythology. Born of Loki and the giantess Angerboda Fenris, Fate is sealed from the moment of his birth. This knowledge drives them to act out of fear and control. At first, he appears manageable. Fenrir breaks them with ease. The second attempt is stronger, yet still no match for his strength, though his rapid growth alarms the gods. A magical ribbon made from impossible ingredients, the sound of a cat's footfall. Fenrir agrees to be bound only if one god places a hand in his mouth as a sign of trust. Tyr, knowing what must happen, offers his hand. When Fenrir realizes the betrayal, he bites it off. A woman's beard, the roots of a mountain, the breath of a fish, the spit of a bird, and a bear's sinews. Gleipnir appears delicate, but it is unbreakable. None dare approach him except Tyr, the god of war and justice. Tyr feeds the wolf and earns his trust. But when Fenrir becomes too large and powerful, the gods attempt to bind him, setting in motion a series of events that will lead to ruin. The gods know he is destined to kill Odin during Ragnarok. As a pup, Fenrir is raised in Asgard. The first chains are simple iron. Finally, the gods commission the dwarves to forge Gleipnir, suspicious of a trick, howling in rage, waiting. From that moment, he is chained deep beneath the earth. At Ragnarok, Fenrir breaks free. His mouth stretches wide enough to swallow the sky. Fire burns in his eyes, and he runs across the battlefield, devouring everything in his path. Odin rides to face him. Knowing his fate, the All-Father falls in battle, swallowed whole. They respond with force and deception, and in doing so, create the very destruction they hoped to avoid. In response, Odin's son Vidar avenges his father by driving a sword into Fenrir's heart, tearing the wolf apart. Fenrir fulfills his destiny, not out of malice, but because that path was carved for him from the beginning. Fenrir is not merely a beast. He is the embodiment of revenge born from fear, the monster made by prophecy and mistreatment. His story reflects the failure of the gods to deal with threat through understanding. His death does not restore balance. It confirms that no power, no god, can escape the consequences of fear-driven choices. His battle is not with a god, but with Freya, the Vanir god of peace, prosperity, and fertility. Freya once gave away his enchanted sword for the sake of love, and without it, he is doomed. The slaying of Freya is symbolic. It marks the destruction of life's cycle, the end of abundance, and the silencing of growth. Oceans boil, the sky turns black, and all life is reduced to ash. Yet, this destruction is not meaningless. From the scorched earth, a new world will rise. Despite his bravery, he falls before Surt's flames. After the battle, Surt raises his flaming sword high and unleashes a firestorm that consumes the world. Mountains melt. In Norse belief, endings are beginnings, and Surt is the flame that closes the old chapter, so the next can begin. Green will return. The sun's daughter will shine once more. Surt's fire does not merely kill. Surt embodies the concept that even destruction has a purpose. He is not evil. He is necessary. The fire he brings is terrifying, but it clears the way for renewal. Surt and a fire that ends worlds. Surt is the ancient fire giant from the primordial realm of Muspelheim, a land of flame that predates even the gods themselves. He is not a god, nor a spirit of chaos, but a force of pure destruction. With his flaming sword, brighter than the sun, Surt stands as the final harbinger of doom, the being destined to set the world ablaze during Ragnarok. His role is not to disrupt or to conquer, but to cleanse. Fire is his domain, and with it, he ends the old to make way for the new. Unlike other figures in Norse mythology, Surt does not play an active role in the daily affairs of gods or men. He waits in the far south of creation, beyond the reach of gods, beyond the forests of Midgard. His silence is not weakness, but power restrained. The myths say he has stood guard over the fiery borders of Muspelheim since the dawn of time, unmoving. At the beginning of Ragnarok, Surt leads the sons of Muspel across the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge that connects Asgard to the mortal realm. Their march is so intense that the bridge shatters beneath their feet. This moment signifies the breaking of boundaries. The gods can no longer separate the realms, no longer contain the chaos. The fire giants burn everything in their path, but it is Surt who carries the final blow. The deaths of the gods, Ragnarok, is not just a battle. It is the unraveling of divinity. Each death marks the collapse of a pillar that holds up the Norse cosmos. Their deaths are not in vain. They are necessary acts in the cycle of destruction and rebirth. The death of Odin is more than a loss of leadership. It is the silencing of knowledge, the collapse of vision, the failure of control. The gods, once powerful and revered, meet their ends not in quiet decay but in violent confrontation, fulfilling prophecies long foretold. Odin, the All-Father, rides at the head of the Aesir, wielding his spear gun. He charges into battle against Fenrir, the monstrous wolf born of his fear. Despite all his wisdom, Odin cannot prevent his fate. Fenrir swallows him whole. Tyr's fall marks the loss of justice, of order amidst destruction. In the end, Thor crushes the serpent's skull with Mjolnir, but only walks 9 steps before falling, his body overwhelmed by the poison. Thor, god of thunder and protector of mankind, faces Jormungandr, the world's serpent. The battle is fierce. Thunder clashes with venom. Thor's death signifies the end of defense, the final stand of strength against chaos. Tyr, the one-handed god of law and war, meets Garm, the blood-soaked hound who guards the gates of hell. The two are evenly matched. They kill each other in a brutal, silent struggle. Freya, the god of fertility, sunlight, and peace, battles Surt, the fire giant. Unarmed, having given away his sword for love, Freya is burned alive. His death represents the end of growth, the extinguishing of peace and prosperity. Heimdall, the watchman of the gods, stands against Loki. The two are ancient rivals, one devoted to vigilance, the other to deceit. Both fall. Their sacrifices mark the end of one world and prepare for the rise of another. Instead, they revered courage in the face of certainty, action in the shadow of fate. Heimdall's death marks the collapse of awareness, but in the silence that follows, there is room for something new. The gods perish, not in despair, but in duty, knowing the cycle must turn again. Loki's fall signifies the end of betrayal, consumed in the fire he helped unleash. They strike simultaneously. These deaths are not just losses. Each god falls with purpose, their roles complete. The Norse did not believe in eternal triumph. The deaths of the gods are the final chords in a song that began with creation. The battle ends. The world burns. Rebirth after destruction. After the final clash, when the skies collapse and the sea swallows the land, silence follows. The world, once teeming with gods, men, beasts, and giants, is reduced to ash and smoke. It is said that the land becomes green again, fertile and pure, untouched by the corruption of the past. Mountains reappear. Rivers flow. A new sun shines in the sky, not the old one devoured by Fenrir's offspring, but her daughter, radiant and young, continuing her mother's path across the heavens. Time resumes, not as a repeat, but as a rebirth. Yet in the heart of this ruin lies the seed of renewal. Norse mythology does not end with Ragnarok. It begins again. The destruction is not absolute. It is a necessary cleansing that allows a new cycle to emerge. From the ashes, the earth rises once more. Some gods return. Balder, the Shining One, who was slain through Loki's deceit, comes back from hell. He is joined by his brother Hop, the blind god, who unknowingly caused his death. Their reconciliation marks a world cleansed of vengeance and sorrow. They are not warriors, but symbols of peace and balance, guiding the new age with wisdom learned from loss. 2 humans survive the fire and ice, Leaf and Lift. They hide deep within the wood of Hodmamir, nourished by morning dew. Vidar, who avenged his father by slaying Fenrir, becomes a quiet ruler in the new realm. Vale, born for vengeance, now lives without enemies, ruled by conflict, ended by destruction, and reborn from the remains. Ragnarok is not the end, it is the turning point. From death comes life, from silence comes song. The gods fall, but the story continues. Magni and Modi, sons of Thor, inherit Mjolnir, the hammer of thunder. They bring forward their father's strength into a world that will no longer know war. When the world is safe again, they emerge to repopulate the earth. Their names mean life and desire for life. They represent endurance, hope, and continuity beyond divine tragedy. They do not fight, they endure. Vidar and Valu, sons of Odin, also survive. This renewal is not a utopia. It is a new beginning shaped by memory. The fire of Surt has burned away corruption, arrogance, and imbalance. What remains is pure potential. The myths do not speak of eternal peace, but of restored harmony. In Norse belief, the world is a cycle shaped by creation. The meaning behind Ragnarok is more than a myth of war and apocalypse. It is a profound reflection of the Norse worldview, a lens through which ancient Scandinavians understood life, fate, and the universe. Beneath its violent imagery lies a deeper truth, that everything, even the divine, is bound by time, change, and inevitable endings. It is not a myth of hopelessness. It is a story of acceptance, responsibility, and renewal. In Norse belief, fate is unchangeable. Even the gods, powerful as they are, cannot escape what is destined. The gods' attempts to control fate by imprisoning Loki's children, punishing dissent, and denying change lead directly to their downfall. Their actions, driven by fear and pride, create the enemies that will destroy them. Fenrir's rage, Loki's betrayal, and the rise of the giants are not external invasions. They are born from within the system the gods built. The myth warns that suppression and arrogance invite collapse. Odin knows his end will come at the jaws of Fenrir. Thor understands that Jormungandr will poison him. Freya walks to his death without a sword, yet none of them turn away. This willingness to face certain death, not for victory, but for duty, reveals the Norse ideal of courage. Heroism lies not in survival, but in honor, in doing what must be done, even when the outcome is grim. Ragnarok also speaks to the consequences of choices. Yet amidst destruction, the myth offers hope. The world is reborn. Some gods return. New life begins. This is not a resurrection of the old order, but the formation of something new from the remains of the past. Peace and strength can coexist if nurtured without deceit or domination. The inclusion of Baldur and the children of gods in the new world suggests that the new world does not erase the old, it grows from it, but that within every end lies a new beginning. For the Norse, this cycle was not just myth, it was life itself. This echoes a core belief in the importance of legacy and the endurance of values, even after death. The myth also honors memory. The surviving gods remember what was lost. The cycles of sun and moon resonate, but they are not the same. The world is changed, shaped by fire, ice, and sorrow. In the end, Ragnarok is not a tale of despair. It is a recognition of reality, that endings come, that loss is inevitable. Legacy and influence of Ragnarok. Ragnarok has endured through centuries not just as a myth, but as a symbol, one that continues to influence literature, art, philosophy, and modern culture. It captures universal truths, the certainty of death, the complexity of choices, the struggle between order and chaos, and the promise of renewal. Much of what we know comes from the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda, compiled in medieval Iceland. Among all the tales from Norse mythology, Ragnarok remains the most powerful because it embraces both destruction and hope. The legacy of Ragnarok begins with its preservation. These texts, written after the Christianization of Scandinavia, preserve the pagan worldview while also subtly contrasting it with newer beliefs. Unlike Christian end times that end in eternal judgment, poets, novelists, and philosophers have explored its themes of fate, heroism, and sacrifice. Ragnarok offers continuity, a future reborn from ashes. This perspective is what made the myth timeless and adaptable. In literature, Ragnarok has inspired countless In the 19th and 20th centuries, Norse myths were revived during romantic and nationalist movements across Europe. Writers such as Richard Wagner adapted elements of Ragnarok into operas, shaping a new mythic language for the modern era. Later, fantasy authors like J.R.R. Tolkien drew on its motifs to craft worlds where old powers fade and new ones rise. Modern popular culture has also embraced Ragnarok. It appears in comic books, video games, television, and film. From Norse-inspired characters in superhero franchises to epic apocalyptic scenes in digital storytelling, the myth continues to evolve. Yet, in all these versions, the core idea remains that even gods must fall, and from their fall, something new will grow. Philosophically, Ragnarok reflects existential truths. It confronts mortality without fear, encouraging action in the face of inevitability. It speaks to the human condition, our awareness of time, our desire for meaning, and our hope that something lasting can emerge from loss. It was about preparing for it, understanding it, and acting with honor regardless of outcome. Unlike myths that promise eternal life, Ragnarok teaches resilience. Even in ruin, there is renewal. For the Norse, this myth was never about avoiding the end. That is why it still resonates today. In a world that faces its own challenges, climate crisis, conflict, and transformation, the story of Ragnarok reminds us that endings are not final. They are turning points, and what comes next is shaped by how we face what falls.